My name is Margie Russell, and I'm the Executive Director of NYARM, and thank you so much for coming out in this weather that we've been having. I really appreciate it, and I know that the honorees truly appreciate it. The first honoree is the MERT Award, which is the Management of Emergency Response Teams. And so this is given to those who spearheaded the energy behind what we refer to as the Battery Park City surgery. And I would like to call up Hank Wisner and Richie Chia from National Main Supplies. Thank you, Richie.
Thank you very much. Before we accept the award, I wanted to also introduce Denny Bond, who's part of our CERT team. Denny worked with Wayne Lowitt, who we lost last Sunday. He died of a brain fly. He was one of the resident managers and the instructor for the women's self-defense class. He was the chief of our community emergency response team in search and rescue. Then he worked with me, and Richie always supported our team. So I'd like to read a little prayer before we get started and just think a minute about this terrible loss. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters, and he restoreth my soul. He leadeth me on the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Our prayers go to Wayne Lowitt's family. He's done so much with the resident managers and training so many of you. And would you like to say something? No. Thank you very much.
I'm Richie Cuccia, owner of National Main Supplies, and I just want to say thank you for honoring all the work and dedication that we put into the CERT program. We're very strong believers in the cause, and we're also very happy to be part of NYARM on a regular basis. I remember coming here many years ago with my father as a kid, and the association has always been good to us. And I also want to say thank you to my wife, who always puts up with me. She's a very difficult person at times, but this is a great association. I'm very proud to be part of it. Thank you, everybody.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I have the distinct honor of announcing, or introducing, I should say, the 2014 Resident Manager of the Year, Mr. Gene Kastner. An award so well deserved, but I also have the privilege of introducing a very close friend of mine, Mr. Gene Kastner. Gene, as far as the industry goes, is tops among the tops. As a colleague, he helps so many. He's the chairman of the employment committee, which I think over his tenure has helped over 200 people in our field find placement. As Mark just mentioned, right now he's spearheading elderly abuse to make it aware, more aware, I should say, for the staff members in buildings. And we're very lucky to have him in the industry, but more lucky to have him as a friend. It's Gene Kastner.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, James, for a very warm introduction. I'd like to just say back in September, October, when Margie gave me the notification that I was going to be considered for a candidate for Resident Manager of the Year, I was completely blown away for such a prestigious award, much less being the recipient of that award. There's a lot of people I'd like to thank before I tell you a little bit about what it is that we actually do with the Emerald Guild. I'll start off with saying that going back 5 years ago, Garrett Doyle, who was the current president of the Emerald Guild, asked me, as I had just joined the MO Guild, he said, Gene, I'd like you to attend an employment meeting. I'd like you to see and say, hey, you know, give some recommendations and some ideas and see what we could do to improve the committee. The prior committee had helped ascertain 2 jobs in the previous year. Within the first meeting and subsequent being announced as the chairman of the committee, my committee, which I'll introduce shortly, had ascertained over 48 jobs the first year. And as property managers and real estate professionals, the thing here is not just getting guys a job, because the MO Guild is much more than that. What Garrett emphasized there is education, transparency, integrity. And these are things that the committee focused on. So through mentoring and coaching and guiding and educating our organization, which is over 250 members, we have in the past 5 years have ascertained, as Seamus said, over 200 members, new positions. It's something that I'm very proud of. In addition to that, we've had, what does that actually mean? New York Times basically says, hey, in an article going back some time ago, that the #1 cost-effective improvement that you can make for a building is to improve its staff. And it starts at the top with the resident manager. So that is what we have done over the past 5 years. Thank you. Garrett was the president, and after his presidency, I continued to work, and Seamus Burke, the gentleman who introduced me, was the next president. And he also asked me to continue on as the chairman of the committee. And he followed in the footsteps of Garrett. Education and employment, these are paramount. But along the way, it's not just about getting guys jobs, it's the education, putting the right guy in the right position. And along with Michael Gubbins, who's our current president, I'm part of the reason I'm here tonight. Because I've never been a part of NYARM. Unfortunately, this is my first evening at NYARM, but it's not going to be my last. Michael made, headways and made a recommendation, I'm sure, from me to Margie Russell and a lot of the people that are on the board. And I thank you as well. It's truly been an honor to work for him. And with 3 presidents, all different styles, we've continued. What do we actually do? I can tell you that it consists of making sure that our candidates are properly prepared for the interview process, whether it be with a managing agent or a board. And we're not resting on our laurels after 200+ jobs. Along the way, I'd like to thank some other people as well as Douglas M. Elliman, starting with Jim O'Connor, our president, Ellie Pateras, and none other than my boss, Martin Brooks, who's here this evening with his lovely wife. Martin, would you just raise your hand? He's hiding over there. This is where Martin starts the fun. I can say this. Martin took me, I was a retired detective from the New York City Police Department. I grew up in the industry. My father was a superintendent and transitioned into a resident manager along with his brothers. So I grew up in the industry. I went into the police department. I went into 32B and I went into residential building services industry. And then subsequent to that, I came to Martin Brooks. Martin saw potential in me. And had it not been without his day-to-day intervention, conversations, and support, I would not be the resident manager that I am. And I really have to give him 100% of thank you, and I really appreciate my applause. So it's truly an honor, and I appreciate it, and really am overwhelmed at this opportunity to become resident manager. Thank you.
If I could just take a moment, and I will just take a moment to thank Margie and the board for this honor this evening. And it's interesting that the award is titled Real Estate Company Team of the Year. At CalEd Management, we did a little analysis for our Christmas party, and it turns out that of our staff, 75% have been with us 15 years or more. And so I don't really necessarily see ourselves as a team, I see ourselves as a family. And in the spirit of family, I thank my son Greg, my nephew Jordan, Peter Lair, Margie Marengo, who's been with me 24 years and is really the reason that I can exist on a daily basis. Paul Atenello, our CFO, and Hock, our Director of Sales, and Nat Cleod, our Director of Leasing, could not be here tonight, and the same for Chris Chung, who could not be here tonight. This is a fourth generation business. Very important that my dad taught me that what you have in this business is your reputation, and that's everything. And we take that very seriously at CalEd, and we take it very seriously because we're responsible for the homes of some 6,500 tenants and owners throughout the city of New York. And we take that job very seriously. Thank you for this honor. We appreciate the recognition of those in our industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. And thank you to the New York Association of Realty Managers for this award and for recognizing our Argo University for Boards program. I'd like to thank everybody at Argo who works tirelessly day in and day out for our clients. First and foremost, our terrific property managers, Seth, Cynthia, Jonathan, Perry, Debbie, Jill, Annette, Sean, Rochelle, and Michael. And they are led by the fantastic Ken Nilsson, our Chief of Operations, and a special thank you to our Chief Operating Officer, Julie Zara. Thank you all. Over the past year, some of you have noticed some changes going on at Argo, and I'm sure you've been wondering what's going on with these guys. Well, actually, this is what's been going on, and we're very proud of it. We've been working quietly to up our game at every level, and that means from developing educational programs for our clients, to investing in and implementing new technologies to make our managers' lives easier, to restructuring, and that's for the benefit of a new type of client, a much more demanding client who has been expecting a much higher level of professionalism from our industry, as I'm sure you all know. And we've been doing this all while keeping Argo a great place to work. Like all of you here, we love this profession, and we are extremely humbled by the honor and the recognition this evening. So thank you once again. We appreciate it very much.
I want to say thank you to NYARM and Margie Russell, who I've known for almost 20 years. Thank you for this honor. And thank wonderful staff. It's all about the staff, it's not about me. We've been doing some really good things in this industry. And since I'm not a great speaker, I'm going to let my better half and my assistant do the talking for me. Thank you.
Everyone, I'm Shpressa. I'm Rick Alisi's wife. I've always been known as Sadie Businai's daughter. Now I'm Rick Alisi's wife, but I am Shpressa from Aria Residential. This is our wonderful staff. We'd like to thank them for everything. And of course, Margie, Helen, Frida, and Rosada of NYARM. Thank you for all the educational courses, and our girls love to attend. Thank you.
We had Trailblazing Award of the Year, and I think the best way to summarize why we got that is at our Christmas party, someone, a very high-up person, was overheard in the lobby of our office building saying, "Eileen, these guys upstairs are a bunch of freaking nut jobs. I don't know how they do it, but they're successful and they know what they're doing. A bunch of nut jobs, but they know what they're doing." Hence, our Trailblazer of the Year award. And I'd like to cite Gene Kastner for what he said in his speech. It all starts with the staff. Rick has made a really, really great, bunch of good choices and staff, and we're we're a great team. We work together well, and we're very diverse, and hopefully next year we'll take the reins from Argo. Thank you, Mark.
I'd like to thank Margie, NYARM, ladies and gentlemen of the Academy. I want to hit on a couple of points here. Firstly, I was trying to think when First Service Residential became super focused on our environment. And I recall a conversation approximately 4 years ago with David Kuperberg and other senior executives of the company, where David realized we became the largest residential management company in New York. And with that, we were the #1 polluter in New York. So we had to figure out ways to address that and really focus on our environment. And our objective was to reduce the carbon footprint in all of our buildings by 30%. And the way that we went about it is we created a subsidiary of ours called FS Residential. And their focus was to reduce the carbon footprint in all of our buildings by 30%. I can say since FS Residential and our commitment to the environment happened, we've saved over $20 million for our buildings. With that, we have our buildings. And the only way we're going to improve upon that carbon footprint is making sure that our buildings are our partners. And Brightwater Towers is one of our partners. And some amazing things happened there. Unfortunately, they suffered extreme damage from Hurricane Sandy. They lost all of their mechanical systems, went down, and they had to figure out a way, how do we pick ourselves back up? And what they did is not only pick themselves back up, but they did it in a very wise way. Rather than put everything back the way that it was, let's look at this holistically. Let's look at the big picture. Let's look at the mosaic. And with that, they said their boilers. Their boilers were on the ground. What they wound up doing is putting them on platforms 4 feet high. Now, if there's another flood, what's going to happen is they have the likelihood of their boilers going down are much less. Then they said they have 3 boilers. Let's go down to 2 boilers. Let's be more efficient. There's no need for that anymore. Hot water supply. They have a whole new hot water system. This is going to save them significant dollars, but also it's going to act better for our environment, which is our focus. Then what they're doing going forward is they're hoping to get a grant. And this grant is they're going to be able to become the first building in New York City with a microgrid. And that's going to allow them to operate off the grid or on the grid. And with this, they're going to look to power these batteries for the microgrid by potentially putting microturbines on the roof, or also going with solar panels to recharge the batteries. This is very, very, very advanced. And Marty Levine has been extremely involved from American Renewable Energy. Cynthia Reich, I have to thank her. She's the board president, and without her and her support, we would not be doing this. Jeffrey Howard, the general manager, is the driving force behind this. And Stephen Hyde's an executive vice president. He's the account executive there. And without this team here, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I'm extremely proud to be accepting this award, and want to thank everybody here, and I'm done. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I would like to let you know what an amazing honor this is for me to be here. I would like to thank Margie Russell and the board of directors for NYARM. I would like to thank Bill Sullivan and Rick Martin with the Ronald McDonald House. You guys do amazing work, and I am so proud to know you. A special thanks to the man standing behind me, Dave Lipson, the founder of Happy Faces. Eight years ago, Dave asked me to be a member of Happy Faces. For those of you who know Dave, I use the term asked lightly. Well, 8 years and 6,995 emails later, Happy Faces has raised over $2.5 million for the Ronald McDonald House. $2.5 million. And it's due to the dedication of this man. What an honor it is to be a part of such a worthy cause. And I know many of you sitting here tonight, along with my fellow committee members, deserve a big thanks for your contributions. There's one other person that I would like to thank, Andrew May. Andrew allowed me the freedom to become involved with Happy Faces. But then, in a huge way, Andrew jumped on board. His generosity to the Ronald McDonald House is a true reflection of his big heart. And I thank him. I would like to thank my wife, Jerry, my daughter, Brielle, and all of my great friends at Hercules. Thank you, guys. Now, before I go and I sit back down, I have a request of my special friend, Dave. Now, Dave, as Rick mentioned, I'm on that hole-in-one for 6-7 hours in the heat, in the cold. It's October, these outings. You never know what you're gonna get. I request that this year, I have the Heineken girls at my hole. Okay? I'm only kidding, honey. I'm only kidding. Thank you very, very much.
And last year, we spent over $350 million to low-income communities across the country. And we have a saying, we like to do well to do good. And because of many people in this room, we have been doing very, very well and trying to get back. And we certainly appreciate Dave for all his work at Happy Faces and Ronald McDonald. And I think that's really most important is that we work with partners across the country like Happy Faces to really help people helping other people, and that's what it's all about. And we certainly appreciate the opportunity to work with you today and everyone else in this room. Thank you very much to our New York office back there, and Ed, and Mary and Robin, our board of directors. Thank you for all your work. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Ms. Russell and the directors of NYARM for recognizing our company for our achievements and our work with a number of different developments that we manage. It's a pleasure being here this evening and being part of this wonderful affair. I'd like to say a special thank you to some people that are here with us tonight, which includes Mr. Gordon, Ms. Atkins, who are members of the board of directors of the River Bay Corporation. One of the things that we're very proud of is the fact that last year we were able to help the River Bay Corporation to obtain a $621 million refinancing, which is the largest loan insured by HUD under its 223F program. Also with me is Mr. Freeman, the principal of Master Proceedings, and Mr. Adler. We also have with us this evening also members of the Manhattan Housing Corporation, Ms. Carmen Vasquez and Ms. Steve Valenzuela, and also Mr. Joe Gordon, lovely wife is here with us as well. We thank you for the support that you provide to us throughout the year, for years actually, but without your help, we would not be who we are. So we thank you for that. Just real briefly, I'd like to say as a property manager, I didn't know exactly what I was going to say this evening, so I guess I'll say a few words about being a property manager. For those of you that are here tonight that are property managers, I think you would agree with me that the work that we do is very demanding and requires us to work long hours, deal with more than just a handful of stressful situations. But if you have a passion for the work, it's all worthwhile, in my opinion. We, I think, have a diverse job that we do because we wear many hats. And the number of hats that we wear includes allowing us to work with any number of professions and any number of industries, including a number of the industries and professions that are here tonight. And most importantly is that by doing that, by wearing these number of hats and having that diversity, enables us to positively impact the quality of life of the residents that we serve as property managers. And I think there are very few professions or industries that can make that claim. Maybe with the exception of doctors and stockbrokers, but I think we're in pretty good company. I'd just like to finish up by saying that I also want to thank Mr. Herbert Friedman and Mr. Marion Scott, who are the principals of the Marion Scott Real Estate for 25 years ago, having the vision and having the provision for putting together such a wonderful company. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.